Don, we're not done. More quick hits coming your way. Ipswich Town put up a good fight in the first half, but then Liverpool cycled through the gears and went away 2-0 in Arne Slot's first game. Well, Don, what did you make of it? And how about Ryan Gravenberch's audition in defensive midfield?
He played better second half. I think Arne Slot said that. He said, what you're judging this on, the first half or the second? Because the first half was a pretty predictable game. When you're playing at 12:30 away from home on the opening day of the season against a team that's just come up, you're going to have to win a few battles. You're going to have to win a few wars. And Ipswich pressed Liverpool hard. They closed them down. They used the atmosphere. Then Liverpool's quality in the second half told. Gravenberch played as a number 6 alongside McAllister. And Szoboszlai played as a 10, which was something different. I would have thought McAllister would have been a better number 10 than Szoboszlai. But second half, they played better. Trent played a ball into Salah for the second goal that I don't think any other fullback on this earth can play. So second half, Liverpool was so much better. And it goes to what I was saying before about the lactic acid. And sometimes you need 45 to sort of get going and get your lungs going, get your second wind. Second half, Liverpool could have scored 6.
Dude, the first half, Liverpool 0.11 expected goals.
Because Ipswich went long, and that's why he took Kwanzaa off, because he didn't win enough duels. So he brought Konate on. So the game I expected, to be honest. Gab, Real Madrid were held away to Mallorca, and Ferland Mendy gets sent off. Ridiculous tackle. How's it going for Ancelotti? What's he going to do with the front three? Rotation? Patience?
No, well, they need to find, he said it after the game. This is a game that they could have lost. I mean, he needs to do a couple things. So, first of all, set pieces. If you see the Murici goal, Mbappé should never be anywhere near Murici.
Nope.
And if he's on Murici, he should not just wander up the pitch when the ball comes in. Like, you need a better setup there. Beyond that, when he talks about balance, people talked about defensive balance.
Oh, so he wasn't talking. So he wasn't talking about the front three in terms of their positions.
I think he's talking about the front three because it's ridiculous. Vinicius plays on the left wing, fine. Yep. Mbappe plays centrally, but obviously gravitates to the left all the time because that's where he played most of his career.
Yeah.
So too does Rodrigo, supposed to be playing on the right. In fact, he scored a great goal, the opener, coming in from the left. Jude Bellingham plays on the left side of a midfield 3, and obviously he gets forward. I'm not saying this is unsustainable, but it takes time. And again, look, against most teams, they'll just beat them because they have better players. But it takes time, to find the right chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm going to be curious to see how much time he gives this setup, because I'm not sure having everybody wander over to the left is a good idea. Solutions, I think at some point you might have to sacrifice Rodrigo.
See, I think a tweak a system. I mean, it's very hard sitting here when you're trying to dismantle or trying to argue against Carlo Ancelotti, one of the best managers of all time. But when you look at the players, I half think if you played a 4-2 and then a 3-1, then you could accommodate those players who can drift a little bit more, because Valverde will do a lot of stuff out on the right-hand side. Right. But to play 4-3...
But then you drop Rodrigo.
Yeah. Well, something has to be done.
I think that's one of the solutions, dropping Rodrigo. Maybe for Brahim Diaz or for Valverde in that role. He's hamstrung a little bit because there's Camavinga's injured right now as well in terms of the two in front of the back four. I think, though, if there's one thing we know about Ancelotti, he's pragmatic. I think he's not going to be afraid to change it up. And I think these first games, this and the Super Cup, he wanted to let everybody see the shiny toys, Bellingham, Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vini. But I'll be surprised if all four stay on the pitch in this setup as the season progresses. This was way back on Friday, but a late Joshua Zirkzee goal gave Manchester United a 1-0 win over Fulham. He came on as a sub. Don, you saw plenty of him at Bologna last year. Is he the answer? And if so, to what question?
Good question, because he's not the answer to play a number 9, because he's not a number 9. He's openly said that. He said, I'm a 10, I'm a sort of 9.5. I like to come a little bit deeper. So I like what Ten Hag said. He said, you're going to have to learn how to play the 9 if you want to get in the team while Holland's out. So as a young player, you've got to be adaptable. You've got to be versatile. It's not the hardest thing in the world, when fans go, oh, he's playing in a different position, or someone else is playing there, and you're now playing as a 6, or you're playing as an 8. Football's not the hardest game in the world. You can pick up positions quite quickly. And for someone like Zirkzee, who's a real talent, if you get him anywhere near the 18-yard box, but not like a number 9 where you draw a number 9 and you paint it on his back and you go, that's where you must stay. He's not that sort of player, but he got a great goal and a great debut coming off the bench, and you're scoring a 1-0 win for Man United on your debut. Amazing.
I agree he has to play like Højlund when he's replacing Højlund. I agree with you also that people get lost in this debate, 9, 10, 9.5, whatever. Yeah. My concern a little bit, and I think he's a phenomenal talent, is that he's had, I think, 5 seasons as a pro, and there's really only been 2 where he's done well. Mm-hmm. And curiously, one was obviously last season under Thiago Motta, but not the first season under Thiago Motta. Remember, Arnautovic just kept him on the bench. He only started 5 games. And the other one was when he was on loan at Anderlecht, where his manager was...
Go on.
Vincent Kompany, who didn't want him back at Bayern this summer. So I don't know.
It's interesting. Very quickly, I was chatting to Andy Cole a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about his time at Man United. And he said, when I walked into Man United, I had people like Mark Hughes, and they had really top Brian McClare, had really top pros around me. He said, I didn't settle too well. He said, but they made me into a better player. So when you're someone like Xerxes and you're someone like Højlund, who are still very young boys, it's almost like they need competition for places.
He's not a child anymore.
Højlund?
No.
Xerxes.
Xerxes.
Yeah, no, but they're still relatively young in terms of you got to put on a Man United shirt and you got to be the best number 9, number 10, whatever. It's still a big shirt to pull on. Still young boys, relatively anyway. Leverkusen done it late again. 6-5 on pens. Were you impressed against Stuttgart?
I was impressed by Stuttgart. I was really impressed by Stuttgart. Sebastian Hoeneß in the summer, and by the way, the German Super Cup, it's not this sort of joke kind of glorified friendly. They take the game seriously. Stuttgart, they lose Ito, they lose Valdemar Anton, they lose their top scorer, Serhou Guirassy. Sebastian Hoeneß sticks around, and they hit the woodwork 3 times against Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen, who hung on to all their stars, as well as Xabi Alonso. Now, because it's Leverkusen, they get the late goal.
Ridiculous.
Never say die.
It's
they could have even
unbelievable.
won it in regular time. And then obviously they go through on penalties, and it's pretty remarkable. I think last season they scored 26 goals or something ridiculous like that after minute 86.
Madness.
So it bodes well for both teams. I'm excited for this Bundesliga. I am not counting out Stuttgart this year. And if Hoeneß gets it done, just in the Bundesliga, just for top 4 finish. Oh, wow. If he gets it done after losing so much talent, he's the real deal. Napoli get trounced by Verona 3-0, and Antonio Conte says he's ashamed and hopes the players are too.
Here we go.
Right reaction or over the top?
Here we go. The show's started already. Him and De Laurentiis, they're going to be at it. He said, they got mullered in the second half.
They were terrible.
And he said, we melted in the sun. But he meant snow, even though it was the summer. And he basically saying we capitulated. By the way, not my problem. Not my fault. It was all on the players. Typical Conte.
He said, I'm the coach, I have to take responsibility.
Yeah, I know. But this is supposed to be, for Napoli, this is supposed to be a very easy start. Verona, Bologna, Parma, Cagliari. And you get walloped 3-0, match day 1. That's not a good look.
It's the same team that won the title minus Kim and Osimhen. Osimhen's a whole other kettle of fish, the way the club are handling him. Apparently it has nothing to do with Conte. His obsession with Lukaku is unhealthy.
What was Crava's injury? Kvaratskhelia?
He came off. I think he had a knock.
Just a knock.
At the end of the first half. There was no Buongiorno at the back. But again, people are like, but without Buongiorno. Buongiorno just arrived. He's a good defender. Maybe the back 3 is just asks a lot of Lobotka and Anguissa in the middle.
Anguissa done okay, actually.
But
he done all right. But that's a shocker for Conte. That's a bad one. Milan, they needed to come back. 2 late goals to avoid defeat at home to Torino. Zapata was brilliant, by the way. Not the debut Fonseca was hoping for, Gab.
No, and look, I think he came out and he said, well, I wanted to play the players who were fit, who've been through training, not the guys who just come in, which is why Morata was on the bench, Theo Hernandez on the bench, Reinders on the bench.
Salamakers didn't work at left back.
But yeah, Salamakers at left back seems like a bit like a flight of fancy. Pulisic, I think, played with a knock. I don't think he was fully fit.
Right.
It's suboptimal, but you can look at the bright side and say, hey, look, they came back and they...
An Inter drew.
They got the point. We'll get to Inter. Newcastle win their opener against Southampton 1-0. Thank you, Joe Linton. Don, I got to get you on Fabian Schär and that nasty mean Ben Brereton Diaz.
He got absolutely sucked in. Joe Linton was man of the match by a million miles, but Schär's been sucked in like you wouldn't believe. Ridiculous.
Good idea to wait for him in the tunnel, too.
Bayern won 4-0 on Friday night, Gab. How did they look?
This was against Ulm in the German Cup, the Pokal. I thought they looked okay. Kimmich was in midfield. Kane came on and scored. Needs to find his full fitness. Leon Goretzka's reportedly been told that he can go. I think this was in the cards, but, it is one of those subjects of the day. All these players, unwanted, and clubs trying to move them on. He wants to stay, obviously. Don, you love your Saudi football. Cristiano Ronaldo puts Al Nassr a goal up in the Saudi Super Cup final against El Hilal, who then stormed back to score 4 goals in 17 minutes the second half. Now, Cristiano wasn't happy. He gestures as if his teammates were sleeping and stormed off without collecting his coveted Super Cup runners-up medal. You okay with this?
Nah.
He wants to win so badly.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm not a fan. Just take your medal. It's not just him. I think it's become a trend, hasn't it, the last sort of 10 years when you get beaten in the final. It's like, I think I saw Michael Elise in the Olympics. He took his silver medal off, and it was like everyone was going, "Oh, look at him, he's a winner. He doesn't even want the silver medal around his neck." And look at Ronaldo, he's took his medal off. He doesn't even want to be. What a load of rubbish. Just wear the medal. Be graceful. I know in the heat of the battle he's a winner, and we all get upset when we lose a game and you score and you think you're going to win, you're going to be the hero. In the end, you get trounced and it looks a bit bad. But it's just a trend that's unnecessary, isn't it? Just keep your medal on, man.
It started before that. Jose Mourinho did it like 20
No,
years
that's what I'm saying. It was like,
but,
20 years ago then. But
I do think, listen, I understand you.
But I think people get sucked in, the media, and I think fans get sucked in by, oh, look at him taking his silver medal off because he doesn't want to wear a loser. It's rubbish, man.
I think some respect to the people who were paying you hundreds of millions a year would probably be a good idea. If then you want to go in the dressing room and rip your teammates a new ones and chuck it in the bin, I'm totally cool with that.
Give it away to a fan if you want.
Or whatever. But in public, you need to do that. And this thing about, like, making the sleeping sign, like, towards you, those are fellow pros.
Yeah, it's not great. Gab, The Athletic spoke to a number of Premier League executives, and several are calling for a very harsh punishment for Man City if they're found guilty over the 115 charges. One of them said the punishment needs to be over 3 or 4 years. Another one's a 70 to 80 point penalty. Thoughts?
So the 70, 80-point penalty is just stupid. I don't understand that. If you penalize somebody 80 points, or they're going to get relegated.
It must be over a period of time.
No, I think it's once. It's fine. Relegate them. And by the way, this is all if they're found guilty before. Yeah. It depends if they're found guilty of what charges, to what degree are they found guilty. So, but if they are found guilty of everything they're accused of, is really, really bad. Yeah. And you need exemplary punishments, I think, at a minimum relegation, if they are found guilty. Also, some severe financial punishments towards not just the club, but I go after the owners too, who've got interest beyond that. Because you're committing fraud here.
Fans would then say, what's the point in doing that against someone like Man City, who have got unlimited money? So maybe a transfer ban would be better than a...
I think relegation would do a lot of damage already. But
I meant on top of that, yeah.
But I think it's pie in the sky. There's obviously an appetite to do it, but the thing is, these charges have to be proven effectively. And until that happens, which we might get a verdict in January maybe, this is going to hang in the air. And look, I think it's as Pep said.
Who seems pretty confident.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know one way or the other, right? He just trusts what he's been told. This has to be resolved because it's not fair. If they're guilty, it's not fair to everybody else. If they're not guilty, it's not fair to having this hangover city everywhere they go.